Hello, I am Dan Artosis Stamkowski, sitting aside special guest commentator for ESWC, Nick Tasteless-Plot. Nick, how is it to be here today?
I got to say, I'm really excited. I can't wait to see the end of this tournament, how exactly it's going to turn out.
Yeah, you know, this is the ESWC Asian Masters of Cheonan. Cheonan City in South Korea is now sponsoring the first ever ESWC Masters Tour in all of Asia. So this is a really exciting tournament, and especially exciting because this is the first time ever that StarCraft is going to be in ESWC.
Thank God, it's about time. StarCraft, the best game ever, and we got quite a lineup here down here at the ESWC. So yeah, it should be a very entertaining and exciting match.
Yeah, you know, each region, Asia, Europe, and America, each have an invitational tournament. There's going to be 16 players in each, 14 players invited, and 2 players qualify from open tournaments. And for the Chinese area, the Asian area, there was about 47 signups for this tournament. 2 lucky players ended up qualifying for it, and now we're into the top 16.
Yeah, we've really got the cream of the crop now. This is great because this is when the games really start to get exciting. You really get to see the talent from each region of the world, and that's just what makes this so exciting.
Well, we are here now in the finals of the 16-man qualifier. It has been a very Chinese-dominated event. 15 Chinese players and only 1 Taiwanese player. So you can see they really are dominating this area of the world.
Yeah, but you know, that's not too much of a shocker. They've always been very strong when it comes to StarCraft. They've been very strong in other RTS games as well, such as Warcraft 3. But we're going to find out if they're actually good enough to be on the very, very top in just a little bit here once we get past this phase.
Yeah, and you know, in the 3rd place we have PJ, a really great player. Used to play professionally for SKT1 in Korea. You know, he went down to Super, the best Terran from China for a very long time.
Yeah, and Super, of course, he's actually one of my favorite Terran players to watch. So
yeah.
I really can't wait to get this thing going. And of course, PJ, he was around back when you and me were still trying to become top foreigners. So yeah, I mean, a lot of memories for both of these guys.
Definitely. And you know what? The person that won the winner bracket final and will have an advantage going into this is Legend, a.k.a. LX.
Yes.
And he was the other player that was actually on SKT1 as a pro gamer in Korea. So, you know, both those players finishing right up towards the top. We're going to see Legend against Super today.
I think it should be very, very engaging. Legend, a very smart Protoss player. I think he definitely has his own style. And I've had the chance to meet him several times. He's very modest, a really likable guy.
Yeah, he is. And, you know, just as you said, a very different style from PJ.
Yeah.
PJ is a very abusive, macro-oriented Protoss, whereas Legend, he is a sneaky guy.
Very sneaky.
Yeah, he plays a very sneaky game. He's maybe more like White Raw.
Yes.
You know, as opposed to like a Yeba figure of PJ.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's a really great player. And he's going to start off with a big lead over Super here because he won the winner bracket. He's actually going to start out 1-0 in the best of 5 as well as choose the first map.
Yeah, and I think that's going to give him a big edge because he is a psychological player. This is going to give him more room to experiment with the psychology of his opponent and the architecture of the map. So if the LX style doesn't work the first time, it may still work the second time around.
Yeah, definitely. And he's chosen Medusa as a first map, and this is a very good map for Protoss versus Terran, especially for LX. There's a lot of strategies you can do on this map.
Yeah, being a Protoss player myself, this is actually the map I'll always go out of my way to play on iCup because I do know there are a lot of different things I can do, especially against a Terran player. So our Terran player is going to have to be quite guarded early on, but you got to remember that you know, somebody like the caliber of our Terran player here, he should be equipped to handle that.
Yeah, you know, he just crushed PJ, and PJ is like top 10 on IC Cup right now, playing only Korean pro gamers.
Yeah.
So PJ is a monster in and of himself, and Super just made him look like he was not. So LX is going to have his work cut out for him, definitely.
Yeah, well, I think you know, we're getting close to the wire here, and I think we're ready to see this match, LX against Super. It should be pretty good.
Yeah, it should. So you know, let's cut the talk. Let's get right into it. All right, well, here we are. We see that we have LX against Super. This is the finals of the Chinese qualifier, rather the Asian one, but it is heavily Chinese dominated. 15 Chinese players and Sen wrapped out the top 16.
Yeah, two very engaging and entertaining players to cast here. Super, my personal favorite as far as Terran players go from China. Legendary, I've casted him a lot. I have to say he has a very unusual style. It's not bad, but it's a bit tricky.
Yeah, Legend has a very unique style. You know, it's really interesting because he and PJ are really well known as the top two Protosses from China. But their styles are completely different. PJ is really more of a macro abusive player.
Right.
And LX, a lot more finesse in his play.
Yeah, PJ, I think, is the kind of guy who wants to trip you and then just maintain an advantage the whole game so that really no matter what you do, you're not going to get ahead. LX, I think, he plays a lot more with psychology. And even with his builds that are much more psychological based, they're very unusual. It seems like he's coming up with them on his own. He's not copying them from another tricky player.
Yeah, he's not really a player that, you know, has stolen these builds from Koreans. And that adds something to LX's play because he's just really such a great player with his own style. And, you know, that's one of the reasons I really enjoy watching the Chinese and foreigner scenes. You don't see so many robots. Everyone's kind of using their own style. And to me, that's a lot more exciting than the Korean style.
Yeah, I got to agree. And one thing that you got to bear in mind for Super is that this means he's going to have to be not just good against Protoss, but good against LX. And those are two very different things because you might know the in and outs of this matchup, but then one player might be playing this game on a completely different beat, and that's something to bear in mind as well.
Yeah, and you know, I watched the PJ against Super replays. That was the third place match right there, the loser bracket final. Of course, LX won the winner bracket of this tournament, but, you know, in that loser bracket final, PJ, a great player, you know, he's like top 10 on iCup right now, playing only pro gamers. Super made him look like a newbie. Super was looking like an A-class pro gamer, someone that you would see in Pro League. It was really astounding play, so I'm excited to see him against LX here, who has shown to be the best player throughout the tournament so far.
I got to agree with you there, Dan. And also, what better map to do this on than Medusa? I think Medusa offers some very interesting games. There are some challenges for Terran, especially in the mid and mid-late game. You know, with all of this craggy terrain in the middle of the map, you're not going to be able to do a hard push. You're going to have to do a soft push.
Yeah, you can't build any turrets out there. You can't put any depots in your way or anything like that. And that really makes it very annoying when you're trying to go against arbiters, when you're trying to, you know, set up something strong mid-game. And, you know, that does make it hard. So Terran's going to have a few options here. And that's, you know, he can either go very economy heavy, you know, grab a couple bases right off, get upgrades and move out. Or he can be really aggressive early, you know, some 2-factory play, some 1-factory starport play, and both those options, I think, are really good options on this map.
Oh, I got to agree with you there. It's kind of polarized what your options are. It's not going to be somewhere in the middle. It's either going to be heavy offense or heavy defense into late-game offense.
And look at this Zealot getting a couple hits in on these Marines, but some very good micro from Super so far. Look at this, that Zealot not doing too much damage. Nice micro.
You know, I have to say I'm a little bit confused that LX kept attacking after he saw all 3 Marines, knowing there was probably going to be a 4th one coming out, because really that's when you back off. Once you see 2, you say, okay, I can be aggressive, but the 3rd should usually trigger the Zealot to turn around.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think what he was doing there was just saying, okay, maybe I can get a few extra Marine kills, because if he does, if that Zealot just happens to kill, you know, 2 or 3 Marines, then Super's going to be behind here because he has not walled in, and he really needs these Marines to buffer any Dragoons with range that come in.
And, you know, the real after effects of that can be a later command center, because that's really where all those minerals are going to end up going, is to